On March 19, 2003, as dawn broke over Baghdad, the United States and its allies launched a military campaign that would change the geopolitical landscape for decades. Operation Iraqi Freedom was not just a war, it was a turning point, a carefully calculated strike intended to dismantle a regime, deliver democracy, and protect global security. But what unfolded in the weeks and years that followed was far more complex than a swift military victory. It became one of the most debated and consequential interventions of the post-Cold War era. Backed primarily by the United Kingdom and a coalition of allied nations, the United States initiated its campaign with a strategy rooted in overwhelming force and technological superiority. The first blow came not from the ground, but from the sky. At approximately 5:30 a.m. Baghdad time, stealth bombers and Tomahawk cruise missiles struck military and governmental targets across Iraq. The intent was clear: cripple Saddam Hussein's command and control, blind his defenses, and pave the way for a lightning-fast ground invasion. The targets were meticulously chosen: air defense systems, communication hubs, presidential palaces. Each strike was a piece of a larger puzzle, an opening salvo aimed at paralyzing the regime before Iraqi troops could even respond. This was the beginning of shock and awe, a doctrine built on psychological dominance. By unleashing sustained, overwhelming firepower, the coalition sought not only to destroy military assets, but to shatter the enemy's will to fight. In the following 48 hours, hundreds of coalition sorties delivered precision-guided munitions across Iraq. Airfields, radar installations, supply convoys, none were spared. What had begun as a promise to remove a tyrant quickly evolved into a demonstration of 21st century warfare. High-tech, coordinated, and relentless. And then came the ground assault. At dawn on March 20th, tens of thousands of American troops, supported by British armored divisions and special forces, crossed the Kuwaiti border into Iraq. The initial phase of the invasion focused on securing the oil-rich regions near Basra and the Al-Faw Peninsula, areas vital to both Iraq's economy and the coalition's operational logistics. Coalition forces encountered only limited organized resistance. Iraqi troops, demoralized and cut off from command, offered sporadic opposition. In many cases, they simply abandoned their posts. As coalition forces pushed north, they were bolstered by Kurdish fighters in the north and driven by intelligence from on-the-ground units. Special operations teams carved paths through hostile terrain, while the U.S. 3rd Infantry Division began a determined push toward Baghdad. Among the most notable tactics employed during this advance was the Thunder Run. Fast-moving armored columns penetrated deep into Baghdad's outskirts, creating chaos and disarray. These raids tested Iraqi defenses, gathered intelligence, and accelerated the collapse of military order. Urban warfare in Baghdad presented new challenges. Pockets of fierce resistance flared in some neighborhoods, but they lacked coordination. Coalition forces, bolstered by mechanized units and overwhelming firepower, swept through the capital. On April 9th, just 21 days after the first bombs fell, coalition troops entered the heart of Baghdad. The symbolic moment came when a massive statue of Saddam Hussein in Al-Firdos Square was pulled down. Broadcast live across the world, it marked the fall of a dictator who had ruled Iraq for over 2 decades. On May 1, 2003, President George W. Bush declared the end of major combat operations. Standing aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln under a banner reading "Mission Accomplished," he addressed a nation that believed victory had been secured. But the real challenge was only beginning. With the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime came a power vacuum. Iraqi institutions crumbled, law and order collapsed, and looting spread unchecked. The disbandment of the Iraqi army and de-Baathification policies left millions jobless and bitter. The coalition had won the war, but it had no clear plan for the peace. Insurgencies erupted, driven by a mix of nationalist anger, sectarian division, and jihadist ideology. Suicide bombings, ambushes, and roadside explosives became grim features of daily life. What had begun as a swift invasion turned into a prolonged, bloody struggle against an elusive and evolving enemy. The occupation forced a reassessment of American military doctrine. It exposed the dangers of focusing solely on kinetic victory while neglecting the political, economic, and social dimensions of warfare. Efforts to stabilize Iraq continued for years. Counterinsurgency strategies evolved. Troops were retrained to serve not just as warriors, but as peacekeepers and nation builders. The goal shifted to rebuilding institutions, promoting governance, and reconciling deep-seated divisions. But the scars of war on Iraq and on the global conscience remain deep. Operation Iraqi Freedom stands today as a profound case study. It validated the power of rapid, precision warfare, but it also warned of its limits. It revealed the necessity of coupling military might with nuanced understanding and long-term planning. The invasion reshaped U.S. foreign policy, intelligence frameworks, and global perceptions of American interventionism. It influenced subsequent military engagements and remains a topic of ongoing scholarly, political, and public debate. The lessons of 2003 are not confined to history books. They echo in every decision made about war and peace today. The legacy of Operation Iraqi Freedom reminds us that winning a war is not the same as winning the peace. In the end, success in warfare demands more than victory on the battlefield. It requires vision, planning, and above all, a commitment to the people whose lives are irrevocably changed by the conflict. This was the invasion of Iraq, a war that began in hours, but whose consequences will echo for generations. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more captivating stories from our past. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.